It's 50 degrees and finally football weather in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm Anna Whitty, the host of the Buccaneer Pregame Show, where your Charleston Southern Buccaneers will be taking on the Campbell Fighting Camels at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Ahead of the game, we sat down with Charleston Southern defensive lineman Chandre Mims, Charleston Southern head coach Autry Denson, and personnel over at Campbell. Joined by the head coach of the Charleston Southern football team, Coach Autry Denson. Coach, last week your team scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. What do you want to see continued out here today against Campbell?
I like to see us not score 22 points in the fourth quarter, but score 22 points in each quarter, leading up to a really good game for the Bucs.
You mentioned that. So how do you get out to a faster start here today?
By just playing to and through our championship habits and standards. It begins with our practice this week. Had a really good week of practice. Guys going out, flying around, operating with a sense of urgency. And it's really just us doing what we do, right? We are a really good football ministry that hasn't been playing good football. And so it begins and ends with me. It trickles down through the coaches to the players. So just following our plan and doing what we know we can do.
On the flip side, North Alabama scored 28 points in the fourth quarter. So defensively, what's the one thing to get out to a better start here today?
Don't give up points. Don't give up the big play. Football is not that hard, right? If you score more points than them, you'll win. And if you stop them from scoring, you don't have to score a lot of points. So we scored 22 in that quarter. They scored 28. The problem was they scored more points in the other quarters, too.
Your quarterback, Jack Chambers, sits at the top of the conference with over 2,000 passing yards. However, he threw 3 interceptions against North Alabama. When you face Campbell here today, how do you execute your passing game here against Campbell?
By protecting the football like we've done in most of our other games. Jack will be the first one to tell you that football is a game of the moment, right? So it's only what you currently are doing that matters. And so where he's having a really good season, football is a team sport where you get individual recognition at some point, but not at the expense of winning or doing what you got to do for your team. So we got to just take care of the football, again, do what we know we can do, and go out and have a lot of fun. We didn't have a lot of fun last week.
Your offensive line has been an area where you've struggled with injuries, but who's been the one person on your offensive line who's really stepped up and been a leader this season?
You know what? To single those guys out because we've had so much just rotation and different guys in, it's tough to do. I would say as a unit, they've done a really good job week to week of finding a way to create some type of continuity, right? And so it is 5 guys seeing the game through one set of eyes. That's the difference between offensive line. And so we'll shuffle a few in this week again, get some back, and get those guys to go out there and play really well today.
You mentioned shuffling in a few different players. How do you get that continuity, not only with one another, but also with Chambers?
Well, you just got to get them to play together. And again, injuries is a part of the game, and so we can't pick and choose when guys go down. You don't want it to happen, but that's been the challenge of creating that continuity because guys haven't had a chance to play together. But regardless, when we kick the ball off, we got to be ready to play.
The last team your team played before COVID hit was Campbell, almost 2 years ago now. Now you're facing them here today. They are a big-time passing team. They have a wide receiver in Caleb Snead who has 8 touchdowns this season. How do you minimize the opportunities that he gets the ball?
Man, he's a really big, fast receiver, really physical. What we'll have to do is a good job of just attacking him at the line, try to disrupt his routes, and then really challenging him when the ball is in the air. The kid's 6'4", so, I mean, he's going to make some plays. We just got to make one more play than they do.
Okay, here are the really hard questions for you now, Coach.
Okay.
NBA season has started. College is around the corner. Individual, team, who's your favorite team or player to follow?
I probably would watch very little basketball. If I had to follow somebody, I'm from Florida, so it'll be the Heat. And that's about
That's
as
it?
deep as I go, yeah.
So you're not a huge basketball person?
Nah, I mean, I'll watch it. I'm just not a huge TV person.
If you, besides football, who's your favorite sport, team, individual to follow?
Favorite sport, team, individual to follow.
I know with fantasy football now, people are more fans of players than actual teams.
Yeah, I don't do fantasy football. I really don't. I mean, I follow stuff in general, but I don't have a particular player.
You follow Charleston Southern football?
Yeah, that's it.
If you could only eat at one Charleston restaurant, what would it be?
Only eat at one Charleston restaurant, Halls.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What do you get at Hall's? Steak, I hope.
I don't eat meat, so no, I get seafood.
I forgot. Okay,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course I didn't
yeah.
forget, because my next question
Yeah.
for you is the last time we spoke, you told me about your plant-based diet. What's the weirdest thing you have in your refrigerator?
Weirdest thing I have in my refrigerator? It's not weird to us, though. I mean, so I mean, probably a ton of Brussels sprouts. I eat a lot of Brussels sprouts, a lot of lettuce, a lot of spinach. It's funny because I talk to our guys. I go to the hotels and different places. They'll ask you, what do you want? And, man, you give me a big thing of water, some sparkling water and some Brussels sprouts. I'm pretty good.
I like that. I love Brussels sprouts. Have you ever put oregano on your Brussels sprouts?
I have not put oregano
That's
on
my
Brussels
secret.
sprouts.
I put oregano, a lot of olive oil, a ton of garlic, and then you put it in the oven for 20 minutes. It's amazing.
I will have to try that.
Next question, game day superstitions.
Game day superstitions. I'm not a superstitious. Oh, you know what? If it had to be something, because I don't consider myself superstitious. I don't drink soda, but that's the one time where I drink a soda and eat a Snickers.
Right before a game?
Yeah, before the game.
What's your soda of choice?
It's Coke.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one if you have to pick one.
Yeah.
Halloween is right around the corner. It's actually on Sunday, tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's your favorite, most memorable Halloween costume?
No, we didn't do Halloween costumes growing up. What we would do is we just didn't. Our church didn't do it, so I didn't have Halloween costumes. What we would do is we would dress up as different careers and things we wanted to be. It either was biblical or it could be professionally. So I always wanted to be a doctor. So my goal was to be a pediatrician.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you dressed up every season as a pediatrician?
Not just once or twice, but other than that, we would do other stuff on Halloween with our church.
When did the dream of becoming a pediatrician stop and becoming a football coach take over?
Well, I was at Notre Dame. I switched from being pre-med to engineering simply because I was playing as a freshman and they didn't feel like I'll have time to go to med school. So I just swapped.
If you had to pick one coach on your coaching staff to be your karaoke partner, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. Karaoke partner, one coach on my staff. That's tough, man. That's really tough. Zane Vance.
Why?
Because he goes all in. I mean, he is. I mean, you just got to be around Coach Vance. It is a ton of laugh. It's like a walking comedy show just on regular everyday life. So Zane Vance, man, with that voice and with his personality, he'd be a heck of a karaoke partner. I wouldn't have to do much.
Would he be your backup dancer and singer, or both, or in which one?
You know what? I'll probably be his backup dancer, and he'd go out front and he'd sing.
He would be the singer?
Yeah, he'd be the singer.
Does he have a favorite? What would you want him to sing?
I have no idea. Anything that comes across Coach Zane Vance will make it work.
All right, so our next video is going to be Coach Vance and you having a karaoke moment, right?
God luck at getting Coach Vance to do that. If you can get him to do it, I'm all game for it. So I'm pretty safe that that's not going to happen.
Okay, that's my next cast. I'll be over there next.
Yeah, that works.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
No problem.
It's Game 7, Week 8. I am joined by redshirt senior Chandre Mims. Chandre, you had a huge week last week against North Alabama. 7 solo tackles, 2 sacks. What about that game do you want to carry into today against Campbell?
That definitely was one of my best games I had this year, so I definitely want to take that energy and bring that into the Campbell game and just keep rising the standard and just keep playing my best ability.
What allowed you to have so much success in that game against North Alabama?
Coach Coley prepared us very well on them, and we watched a lot of film going into that game. So I feel like just better positioning that I had, better in my technique, got me to that ability that game.
So after those 2 sacks against North Alabama, it puts you at 18 career sacks. You're in second place in school history. The career record is 25 career sacks. So what does it take to get those extra few sacks to put you at number 1 in school history?
I'm going to just keep working hard. I feel like the accolades and stuff like that is going to come eventually. So just keep working hard and just keep going harder every day.
Campbell's Caleb Snead is their big wide receiver with 8 touchdowns on the season. What's it going to take for your defense to minimize his opportunities?
He's definitely a good player, but we're just going to keep doing what we do, applying pressure, get the quarterback uncomfortable, making our DB's life a little bit less harder. So,
As a redshirt senior on this team, you're definitely a leader on the defensive side. Where have you seen the biggest improvements on the defensive side of the ball this season?
I would definitely say leadership. We got more people coming up, taking up, being bigger roles in the defense, not just one person being a loud role. It's like everybody, and we all understand each other. So when one person's slacking, we know to get on each other, and we ain't no hard feelings. So we just keep rising up each other.
Who are the other leaders?
Nick Sally, Anton, John Cheramonte. It's basically the whole defensive front are leaders. So we all are outspoken, and if somebody's slacking, we get on each other, make sure we do better.
When you say you're outspoken, how? What's your communication process like on the defensive side of the ball?
You know, like we brothers, so, you know, sometimes, say if I'm slacking a little bit, John like, Dre, you got to pick it up a little bit. So something basically like that. So everyone does that. So keep everyone on the same edge and keep us all playing at a high tempo.
We know that your shoe collection is a big deal. The shoes you're rocking right now, you said, are team issued.
Yeah.
But what's the newest addition to your shoe collection that you're the most proud of?
My newest addition, I would have to say, is I just copped some new off-white Dunks. I got it's like lot 13, because it came with 50 lots, so I got lot 13 and lot 5. That's probably like my newest addition right now. I get caught up in shoes during the season, but it's like I really can't do as much as I want to because we got so much practicing and film study, so when I get an opportunity, but once all the season is over, I'm definitely going to get back into it.
Do you wear these shoes that you collect?
I really don't wear them in season, but once season over with, I definitely wear them, yeah.
What do you wear on game day? When you show up for a game?
Oh, yeah, okay. Game day, we got to wear dress A, so suited, booted. So I'll probably put some designer shoes on, so either Balenciaga, some Gucci, you know, switch it up a little bit here and there.
How'd you get so interested in shoes?
My mom, so she was raising us. She was basically like, whatever you want, you got to go get it. So she really emphasized the shoes and clothes. Like, she was always buying nice things and wanted us to have nice things, so I think that's how I got hooked on the shoes.
So I know that being in the shoe collecting industry per se is kind of a different field. So how do you go about finding all of these shoes and knowing what's the hottest new shoe to get?
So basically, it's basically like stocks, sneakers are. So like the value can go up, down. So it really just depends on the time frame, and it's about who you know. So I got like a lot of shoe plugs and shoe connects where I get shoe for retail price, and I know what certain shoes are going for a lot and what shoes are not going for a lot. So it's basically the shoe. It's like shoe industry is basically like stock, so it goes up and down. So say a shoe could come out December. I mean, like around December, like Christmas time is gonna be a high commodity because people want it, and then so y'all would get shoes like that, sell them for more than what they're really worth, and then that's how I really made my money.
That's smart. I like that tactic. When did you get into getting shoes?
Probably my freshman year in college, yeah.
Okay.
So I had to make a side hustle some way.
If you could only rock one shoe for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Definitely be Off-White Forest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a neutral color. You can wear with anything, so it'd definitely be my Off-White Forest.
You didn't have to think about that answer.
Yeah, nah.
You knew it already.
Yeah.
It's like people ask you all the time.
Yeah.
All right, my last question for you is, this is your last season playing on Buccaneer Field. Out of all the memories that you've had so far, what's been the most memorable one?
I know that one off the top of my head. When I got my 10th sack, it reminded me of my homeboys. I told myself I was going to get that 10th sack for them, so that definitely was my best memories out here in Buccaneer football.
When you had that 10th sack, did you know it in that moment?
Yeah, I was already chasing that one. I was really chasing that one. So I told myself it was the last game versus Campbell. I was like, I got to get this one. I got to get this one for my homeboys. So that one always be in the back of my head.
Well, Chandre, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck with the rest of the season. I hope you can beat that career record in sacks, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you.
We now welcome in one of the play-by-play guys for Campbell football over on 88.3 FM and ESPN, Evan Bodrovich. And Evan, welcome on. Thanks for taking some time to chat with us and really just break down this Campbell team. And we'll just jump right into it. You know, about halfway through the season so far, how would you sum up the year?
The year's come down to these last 2 weeks, Killian, and as always, welcome to be on the show. Campbell unfortunately played Kennesaw and Monmouth the last 2 weeks, the two best teams in the Big South, both at home, both teams that they want to surpass to move up in the standings, and had two humbling losses. The final scores didn't really tell the story of both those games, but still without the quarterback, Hajj Malik Williams, it's been a Wiley Hartley stepping in at quarterback. And while he's athletic and can make plays, he just doesn't have the experience. And this team has struggled in the red zone. So they've had to kick a lot of field goals, and they're starting field goal kickers 2 for 10 this year. So the chances have been there to score points and win these football games. But unfortunately, when you go 0-2 against those two teams, you sort of realize that you have to reset your expectations. And starting here with Charleston this week, it's about playing better in the red zone offensively, and a team that when they're clicking against North Alabama and against Gardner-Webb, they can score 40 points a game. And when they're not, they're in the 10s to 20s, and that's a tough way to win in this conference.
Yeah, certainly. Charleston Southern knows definitely all about that with the loss to Monmouth earlier in the year. And you mentioned those back-to-back games against Monmouth and then Kennesaw State last week coming off of a loss. Going into this week, Charleston Southern all time, they're 4-0 against this Campbell team. Do you think, is that something that's kind of in the back of the minds of the team?
The big game that stands out would be 2019. Of course, the first meeting of that, Campbell was non-scholarship. Charleston Southern was in the Big South and rolling in 15 and 16. But more specifically to that game in 19, Jack Chambers went off for over 100 yards rushing. He scored 4 touchdowns. It was the final game of the season where neither team really had, quote unquote, much to play for except record and, momentum. And Charleston Southern came out and dominated that first quarter. Campbell came back and it was a very close game in the second half, but that's something these players talk about. I don't think it's as huge of a rivalry as, let's say, the Barbecue Bowl with Gardner-Webb or trying to beat Kennesaw State and win the league. However, there's still an importance to this game because losing 3 in a row makes a winning season more difficult. It puts the team in a tough morale. So this game matters. I just don't know if the past necessarily motivates this group.
For sure. And just as a whole, what would you say that this team's identity is on both sides of the ball? You've been seeing them every week. What would you say it is?
We'll start offensively. And with Wiley Hartley at quarterback, he distributes the ball all over the field. He's a baseball pitcher on the team out of the bullpen. He kind of has the same approach as a quarterback. He's going to throw strikes. He's going to move it down the field. He has struggled with a pressure in his face, and that's just been the nature of the last few weeks. But Wiley's a player who this team trusts to throw the ball to, whether it's Caleb Snead or Jai Williams or his tight end, Julian Hill. You'll see 6 or 7 different players catch a pass in this game, most likely. And running the ball, it's running back by committee due to some injuries and just due to how the offensive coordinator, Nick Grimes, approaches things. But they love to run the ball horizontally, stretch the field, and then bring in the power backs in the red zone, like a Lamaje McDowell that you'll see a handful of times. So it's a balanced, it'd probably be 51 runs, 49 pass, vice versa. They're not going to deviate from that too much. They love 2 tight ends. You'll see Julian Hill out there all day and Jordan Goko. So it's a balanced NFL style offense. I say all that just to mention that when Haj Malik Williams is in, it's a little different approach. It's the same idea, but he's so electric running and can make different plays. So if Wiley Hartley is the starter, it's a more pro style attack. And if Haj Malik Williams plays, it's kind of that dynamic, you never know what to expect type of offense.
Yeah, Haj Malik Williams, I feel like he and Jack Chambers are very comparable, both very good athletes and very good quarterbacks in and of their own right. And so going this week, you mentioned Haj Malik, you mentioned the quarterback. We'll see what goes there, but who are some of the key players that the fans should keep their eyes on?
Caleb Snead, the receiver, he's number 8. He leads this league with 8 touchdowns, fittingly enough, and he's a playmaker who every week will garner attention. Now, he'll be the first to tell you he dropped a touchdown last week against Kennesaw, and that was a big turning point in the game. But he's been so explosive, averaging 20 yards a catch, and he had 170 yards against Monmouth receiving. He didn't do as well last week, but he still led the team in catches and yards, and he's a player that every week will draw attention. When you're 6'4", and he's so athletic out there, he's certainly offensively a good player. And on the defensive side, there's a lot of different names that make plays, but at the linebacker position, Keyshawn Thompson has become a tackling machine. He had 13 last week. I think every game now he's had at least 10. So he's all over the field making plays. You wouldn't know he's there because he's number 33, and there's like 4 or 5 other players who have more offers or maybe a little bit bigger in size, but he's really been standing out just with his playmaking.
Perfect. Well, we'll kind of wrap up on this. Coming in, you've been watching this Campbell team. What are they going to need to do to come away with a victory?
I was talking to Mike Mentor today, actually, to preview the game, and Mike said, we just got to win. Like, it doesn't matter what it takes. It can take a safety. It can take 8 field goals. This team's desperate. But, in all honesty, Killian, it's about executing like they've done the last 2 road games at North Alabama, at Gardner-Webb. The offense was basically clicking from the start in those games. They put up over 500 yards in both games. If that offense can score 30-plus points, it can keep them in the game because, Jack Chambers will make plays. Garrett Schwarting's going to get open and catch some touchdowns. This has the feeling of a 35-31 type of game. Now, neither team has had that success the last few weeks offensively, but if they can do that, then it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Well, it certainly will be. Looking forward to it. I won't put you on the spot and make you have any score predictions. We'll leave that to the players. We'll get that taken care of once kickoff comes. Well, Evan, really appreciate you joining us today, and best of luck, safe travels, and look forward to this game on Saturday.
Sunshine, the beach, and a 1:00 kick. You got me signed up for everything I need.
Hey, beauty of Charleston. Thanks, Evan.
That's it for this week's edition of the Buccaneer Pregame Show. You can tune into the game at 1 o'clock on My TV Charleston or on ESPN+. And as always, let's go Bucs.